Let's talk about what we're seeing in the real estate market right now after the first 6 months of the year. So it's been a really interesting first 6 months. The market has been very strong. Interest rates are about 1% lower than what they were towards the end of last year. In fact, many of our clients are getting rates at 3.5% or below. One of the interesting things that we're seeing in the market right now is the number of investors who are buying homes. Believe it or not, 40% of the listings that we sold through the first 6 months of the year were sold to investors. And what that means is two things. One is that if you're buying a home, particularly in that first-time home buyer market, there's a lot of competition out there for investors. That means you got to be ready to jump on those homes, even if it's not the perfect one for you. For you as a seller, if you've been wanting to move up, it means that you've got a realistic expectation that you could sell your home to somebody, if they are an investor, that would be able to give you a lease back for a period of time, which would allow you to find another house and be able to move without possibly having to move twice. Hey, if you look at the market statistics for the month of June, it might be alarming to you that we saw home sales go from 33 in 2018 down to 10 this year. So we saw a little bit slower number of sales all throughout the year. So that's not too expected, but that's a pretty huge jump down to 10. The truth is that's just simply because there haven't been as many people that wanted to sell their home as there were last year and the last previous years. And so what that's going to mean, we don't know if there's going to be a huge number of bump up in sales later in the year, or perhaps that's just a trend. The truth is, though, for the homes that we put on the market in May and June, there were anywhere from 3 to 5 buyers for each house. So we could have easily absorbed another 23 or even more home sales and still had all those homes selling for a good price. What it also means for you as a seller is you've got a lot of motivated buyers out there right now. And so it's a great time to take advantage of the market. If you're thinking about selling your home, this could be a great time for you. Give us a call if you want to do a little bit of analysis on your home in the current market. So something else that you might want to consider is we're seeing more rumblings from economists about there being a recession coming either later this year, 2019, or 2020. I won't get into too many details, but we're seeing what's called an inverted yield curve in the bond rates. And so this is an indication of a future recession coming. Now, I want to be careful emphasizing that we're not talking about a crash. So we're not looking at 2008 and 2009. In our area, a lot of people seem to think that our market is going to be totally insulated for anything that happens on the global market or even the national market, right? And that's not completely true. Although our schools are good and our economy is great here in the Avery Ranch area and the Austin area in general, that doesn't mean that we're not going to experience any kind of blips in the market if the overall market sees a recession, right? So as an indication, I have had a buyer client that bought a home back a couple months ago, and we've been looking for homes for a little while. One day the NASDAQ stock market was down 3%, and he was going to put his whole home search on hold because of a 3% drop in the NASDAQ stock market that day. Of course, the market came right back anyway. He decided to buy a house, but it kind of gives you an indication of how fragile the psyche of the buyers can be. They're very motivated, but they're also nervous about paying the top of the market. And so if we start to see on the news the economic indications coming out that our economy is not as good as it has been, that psychology could be something that could switch very easily. And we all know the real estate market, when we see stats and see those reports coming out, they're always backwards looking. And so by the time you see it, we've already felt it in the market. So something that could happen if we do see a recession next year is we might see that number of sales significantly increase as people are thinking, well, that's the top of the market. And so that number of sales, you may be deciding to sell your home next year into a market that's going to have significant number of more homes on the market, while we also have more nervous buyers who are now even more nervous about the overall economy, and they're going to be less motivated. So if you're considering selling your home this year versus waiting until next year, give me a call and we can talk about your particular situation and kind of tell you what we think you should do. Something else that we're seeing in the market is home sellers that are spending money on things that are not going to give them the best ROI for their home. The other day I went and talked to a couple about selling their home, and the first thing they wanted to ask me about was their fence. And the truth is by the time a buyer went to see their fence, they've already made up their mind about their home. So instead of spending money on the fence, they really need to be spending money replacing the carpet. And so when you're considering spending money on your home to improve the ROI and the expected sales price or just the value of your home, there's a couple things that you want to think about. One is that improvement something that can be advertised, right? Nobody cares about a new fence, but they will care about making the home move-in ready. So something that's advertised, something that's going to really wow the buyer. Okay, and so again, when they walk into that house, the buyer is making up their mind about your home in that first 5 seconds. So those things that we want to be doing are concentrating on the emotional attraction, the floors, the walls, and then we want to look at where an appraiser is going to give market value. So also the areas in the kitchen and the master bath. Those are the two big areas that an appraiser is more likely to increase the value of your home. They're probably not going to care about some of those other things like a fence. If you're thinking about making any improvements to your house and you want to just reach out to us and ask us our opinion whether how a buyer is going to value those improvements, give me a call at 512-791-7473. We can talk about your home. Our company also works with a lot of investors when they decide to sell their house, whether it's because they're just not getting a good return on that investment or they're just tired of the hassle of having to deal with tenants, or maybe they're an absentee owner and just don't want to deal with the hassle anymore. And so we're all guilty when we look at our financial position of using bad mental math. For an investment property, we take the monthly rent, we multiply it by 12, and we forget to do things like subtracting the vacancy factor when the home's not rented, the cost to rent the house if you're having to pay a realtor or the property management, and then not factoring in kind of long-term maintenance items. So new roof, new AC, new water heater, new carpet, new paint, all of those items. And we don't calculate that into the return. And so often people come to me and they say, well, I'm going to keep the house as a rental property because it's going to be worth more in 10 years. And so that's not the question. The question isn't whether your house is going to be worth more in 10 years. Chances are it will be. The question is that the best investment for you and your family, or are there other things that you could be doing with your money? And so if you're trying to analyze whether you should either keep an investment property or maybe convert your single family home that you're living in to an investment property when you move up to another house, give me a call. We can talk about your situation and really look at the numbers and what we expect, and then you can compare it to what else is out there, what other investments that you could be making that might be better for you, or if that truly is your best option. We're already into July, and this can be the dog days of the real estate market, so lots of home sellers start to get frustrated. And so if you've got any friends that have had their home on the market, maybe it's not selling, what sellers often do is they wait too long before they call us. About 25% of our homes were previously listed with another agent and didn't sell. And often we find that those sellers wait too long before they call us and make a switch. So if you've got any friends that are thinking about how frustrated they are about selling and thinking about calling somebody else, have them call us today before it's too late. No obligation. We'll give them a free second opinion analysis of their home and what they should be doing to get it sold. Hey, and just last thing, we're super excited that we're heading down the home stretch of our fundraising to build a home for a mentally ill and homeless person in the Community First Village with Mobile Loaves and Fishes. So if you're interested in perhaps just following our progress or making a donation, visit copacares.com and you can check it out. Thanks for watching and make it a great day.